Before we dive into some must-see rumors from ESPN, I don't know if y'all know this, but the Raiders are battling for the AFC West in our Madden live season. Week 18, we're going to be live Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, the final live show of the week. We're going to go Raiders Friday happy hour on a Thursday. We got the 11-4-1 Raiders. If they beat Kansas City, we're the AFC West champs. Make sure you pull up because as it stands right now for our Madden playoff picture, the silver and black are in the thick of it. And if they get a dub, they jump all the way up those rankings, and they will be the 2 seed in the AFC, and that means they're going to be going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. You probably noticed that the Chiefs and the Raiders have one less game. It's because I already ran the simulation for the other teams. So if the Raiders win, they play the Bengals. If the Raiders lose, they're going to be going up against the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. But you know what? Give me some FKCs down below. I don't care that it's Madden. I want to beat the Chiefs. I'm Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, I got some must-see Raiders rumors from ESPN. And you know what? I haven't brought out the Just Win babies in a little while. So today, we're going to be breaking out some of the Just Win babies. The first one that's coming up here from ESPN, the Las Vegas Raiders' biggest strength on this team is the defensive line. I'm going to give this one to Just Win babies, and I'm going to say people are talking. Now, the way that this show is going to go is I'm going to go through the stories that ESPN has. I'm going to tell you exactly what the Sports Center has to say, and then I'm going to give you my reaction and tell you why I'm giving each one of these rumors either 4 Just Win babies, 3, 2, 1, or tuck rule, tuck that. Here's what ESPN had to say on the Raiders' biggest strength. It's defensive line. New year, same strength. The Raiders already have Maxx Crosby, 7th in the league with 34.5 sacks, and first among edge rushers with 223 tackles over the past 3 seasons. And get back of one of the league's top defensive tackles in Christian Wilkins, who's 5th among defensive tackles with 9 sacks in 2023 before missing all but 4 games last season. Edge Malcolm Koonce, torn ACL in Week 1 of 2024, will also return, and Las Vegas hopes to get more from 2023 first-round pick Tyree Wilson. Defensive tackle depth behind Watkins and Adam Butler remain a concern. I believe that's supposed to say Wilkins. I think actually ESPN has a typo in that. But this unit has plenty of potential. And you know what? I completely agree with what ESPN is saying, and I'll be transparent. If you told me right now Christian Wilkins is 100% healthy and Wilkins plays all 17 games, I don't even need all 17. If you tell me Christian Wilkins is 100% healthy, which I know he isn't, but if we can still get a good version of Wilkins out there, I will agree with you that the defensive line on this Raiders team is its strength. I think Crosby's one of the best in the biz. I think Adam Butler's one of the most underappreciated players in the biz. I think Christian Wilkins can be a great player to take on double teams, to free up Tyree Wilson, to help out Malcolm Koonce. This defensive line is how this team is going to win games on defense, and they better win on defense with the line of scrimmage, because our secondary does make me a little bit nervous. The other reason, though, why you have to consider this a strength, Rob Leonard is the best defensive line coach in the National Football League, and the work that that guy does with the amount of talent that we have, I agree with ESPN saying that it is the biggest strength, but because Christian Wilkins is a little bit of a to me, I would simply say because he's an unknown, our tight end room is also very flippin' good. So let me know down below, is the Raiders' defensive line their biggest strength this season? Give me a yes. Give me a no. I want to know from every single one of y'all. If you bleed silver and black, if you're a Raiders fan, if you're watching Raiders videos in the middle of July, you're a diehard mother effer, and I rock with you. Give me a yes. Give me a no down in the comment section. To me, the Raiders' biggest strengths are defensive line. You have to talk about it. It's stacked from top to bottom. The tight end room, you have the best tight end in the National Football League, and imagine if Michael Mayer takes a step forward. We will have the number 1 tight end room in the NFL. I'll also say one of the biggest strengths is the running game with Ashton Genty, with a quarterback like Geno, with receivers that are willing to block, with tight ends that can catch the football. I think this Raiders running game is going to be a lot sneaky good compared to what people realize. And then earlier on the live show, I forget who it was, somebody was like, Mitch, this Raiders coaching staff, this Raiders front office doesn't get enough love. And I agree with you. I actually think it's one of the biggest strengths that this team has. And I think if you were to rank the Raiders coaching staff and front office, I think they have a top 10, potentially top 5 unit from top to bottom. If you don't know my preseason week 1 deal, I want you to listen up, and I want you to listen up right now. If you want a Ashton Jeanty jersey, if we get to 196,000 subscribers by the Raiders' first preseason game up against the Seattle Seahawks on August 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, it's going to be a late one. I'm going to give away a free jersey. No super chat required. All you got to do is be there. You got to be subscribed. We're going to be giving away an Ashton Jeanty jersey. But got to get to 196,000 subs. You got about 2 weeks to do it. I think we can get there. Let's go to the next story here from ESPN on a must-see Raiders rumor. Is the Las Vegas Raiders secondary their biggest weakness? Also, shout out to Lord Cameron Abbott and Ryan Campbell, who are throwing bangs after bangs on the live show right now. Guess what? This one's for Just Win, babies, and I'm going to say believe it, baby. Now, when I first decided to make this show, the Raiders didn't sign J.T. Woods, and the Raiders didn't sign Jamal Adams, but I'll be clear, it's still the weakest part of this entire team is this secondary, and I agree with ESPN. This is what they had to say. Tre'von Moehrig, Jack Jones, and Nate Hobbs rank 1st, 3rd, and 10th, respectively, among Raiders defenders in snaps played in 2024. None will return in 2025. Eric Stokes, who didn't work out in Green Bay, could be the team's top corner. Jakorian Bennett, Decamerion Richardson, Darnay Holmes, and third-round rookie Darien Porter are also competing for starting jobs. At safety, solid journeyman Jeremy Chinn was brought in to replace Moehrig opposite of Isaiah Pola-Mao, who graded 37th at PFF among 41 safeties with 900-plus snaps in 2024. Now, let me be very clear on this. ESPN is going off of the show that I did. Technically, you guys will see it on Wednesday. If you watch the show live on Tuesday, then you already probably know the Raiders starting roster. But they don't believe that Darien Porter is going to be a starter. And they also say that Darnay Holmes is working for a starting spot. I'm telling you right now, Darnay Holmes ain't in the conversation to be a starter. I think that just shows that ESPN doesn't necessarily know the team as well as sometimes what we think. But I do agree with the idea that the Raiders, I think, have one of the league's worst secondaries. But let's be clear. There is legit upside. Jakorian Bennett, legit upside. Darien Porter, legit upside. Eric Stokes, legit upside. The Raiders and Pete Carroll are clearly valuing their ability to develop corners, to develop safeties. The reason why I think it's the biggest weakness is because of the free safety position, the nickel corner position. I think we have a lot of solid players against the run. But to me, I want the Raiders to go out and sign a free safety. Hell, I would love for the Raiders to go out and get a guy pictured right here, Justin Simmons. Maybe you go out and get a guy like Julian Blackmon. To me, this secondary does need some improvement. We have the money to go out there and do it. I am not a big believer in Jamal Adams. I know J.T. Woods brings a lot of speed to that team. That's probably more just a special teams guy and not somebody that I think ends up making that 53-man roster. I agree with ESPN saying that the Raiders secondary is the weakest link. But the way this defense is made, you need the defensive line to be good, or else this secondary could really struggle. Let's go to the next story here coming in from ESPN. It is Jackson Powers-Johnson, the Raiders' biggest X factor for this upcoming season. Do I think he's an X factor? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think he's one of the more underrated centers in the league? Oh, yeah, I definitely do. Call him the biggest X factor, though. I'm going to give this one only one just win, baby, and I'm going to say it's a small shred of truth. Do I think that he's going to make a big impact on this team? Of course I do. He's the center. He's going to touch the football more than anybody else does on this team. More than Geno Smith, right? He's going to be the one calling hike. And I think he's going to be a reason why we set that tone. But I'll tell you why I have it only as a one shred of truth. Here's what ESPN had to say. Center Jackson Powers-Johnson split time between guard and center as a rookie. At guard, he ranked 4th in pass block win rate, though this dropped to 20th at center, and 6th in run block win rate, moved up to 1st at center. Given that first-year linemen typically struggle, there's a chance that Raiders have a star. If they do, they should help new Raiders quarterback Geno Smith, Ashton Jeanty, and offensive coordinator Chip Kelly work some magic. Now, I do anticipate JPJ to make a major impact on this team. But I hate to say it, and I shouldn't even say I hate to say it, but I think it's the obvious answer. I think the obvious answer for the biggest X factor on this team, it's got to be Geno Smith. Like, if you tell me why the Raiders make the playoffs, it's Geno Smith. I'm not going to sit up here and go, the Raiders made the playoffs because of JPJ or the Raiders missed the playoffs because of JPJ. Yes, having a great center is extremely important. We saw that in the amount of years when we had Rodney Hudson, who was probably the best center for about a 10-year stretch. I do think that he is the perfect center for a Chip Kelly-ran offense with a running back like Ashton Jeanty, with a bunch of other players that we're trying to do, because the Raiders want to be a physical team. And JPJ is a key part of the Raiders wanting to be very, very physical. And I know for a fact that the Raiders want to be a very physical football team. But at the end of the day, you probably got to sit back and go, Geno Smith is probably this team's biggest impact, or biggest X factor, if you will. Coming up next here on the show, though, I'm going to get into who is the Raiders non-starter that ESPN wants you to know about. Because ESPN released this article. They put out interesting comments, and overall, I thought it was pretty interesting from top to bottom that what they had to say on the non-starter. I'll also say this. You're going to see me talk about some other non-starters that I believe deserve some love, but we have to remember that this is based off of an ESPN article, and the players that I'm going to talk about, they put as non-starters. But I think some of you might look at a few of the players and go, well, Mitch, they might end up getting a start. Just hang on with me for just a second. One guy that I do expect to be a big X factor, it's Ashton Jeanty. And I know I've been saying all week that this jersey's on sale, and it is on sale. And I hope that it's still on sale when you click on this video. Go to chatsports.com/Jeanty. And if you could, click on this bad boy. There are sizes from small all the way up to 5XL. But Ashton Jeanty jerseys are on sale. You can get it right now. If you plan on getting a jersey, you might as well save $26 and get your hands on the NFL's best running back. Let's go to the final story here on today's show. J.J. Pegues is a non-starter to know. This one is for just win, babies. Believe it, baby. And I completely agree with ESPN that I want everybody to know who J.J. Pegues is, because one of my favorite notes from the NFL draft was Tom put, he calls him Pegasus because he's a mix between a Pegasus and a unicorn because of all the different things that he's able to do. Here's what ESPN had to say. Defensive tackle J.J. Pegues, in case you haven't heard, this rookie was a 325-pound Wildcat quarterback in college. Oh, and he also excelled tackling grades from PFF. Alongside do-everything former Montana State quarterback turned receiver turned return man Tommy Mellott, there is no doubt the Raiders had the most interesting sixth round of the 2025 NFL Draft, and I agree with that. Here's some of the reasons why, though, I want people to know who Pegues is. In college, he had 21 carries. 18 of those carries resulted in a first down or a touchdown. Do you remember a few months ago, that the Raiders also decided to look at players like, or they decided to move on and vote against the tush push? Because they decided to vote against the tush push, I actually think that one of the reasons why they did that was because they had Pegues, was because they had Tommy Mellott. And I know that I talked about that. He is a very versatile player. He's played defensive tackle. He's played defensive end. He's played running back. He's played fullback. He's played Wildcat quarterback. And if Wilkins misses time, this could be a player that gets extra playing time for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think that's important to note. Now, again, the players that you're going to see as other non-starters to know is simply based off of the ESPN article. But I'll tell you this, there's going to be a player or two on here you're going to go, well, wait a minute, Mitch. I think that guy could be a starter. Other non-starters based on ESPN's article that I think it's important for you guys to know. Dante Thornton Jr., Jordan Meredith, Darien Porter, Tommy Mellott, Thomas Harper are the other 5 players that I need you guys to realize and think about as some of these non-starters. So again, I first started doing this show, I would always break down things around ESPN, and I would break down things from other people out there. If you made it this far in the program, I hope you hit that subscribe button. I hope you turn on those notifications, and I hope that you always tune in to the Raiders Report, because when breaking news happens, when other news happens, I am always going to do my best to make sure that you guys are staying up to date.